Going on, everybody? It's Chase. Let's get into these charts. As usual, video sponsored by PrimeXBT. Check them out. Links at the bottom. Turn 1 BTC, 1.5 to trade with. All right, we're here with Bitcoin. Let's mark up our chart. We got resistance right here. Okay, we run the swing high. We break down, come up, have some of this, euphoric action up here, so to say. Probably a lot of over leverage people, a lot of volatility in this area. It's not really a huge concern to me. Sort of just think of this as somewhat of an anomaly, to be honest. And then things sort of get back to normal, right? So we had resistance, we run the high, anomaly, resistance, 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 resistance. Show you guys a winning trade that I had posted on CT, I believe yesterday. Why? I think because, some people will say, we don't want to see hindsight, but I think it's good to see winning trades and understand the reasoning and identify the patterns, so you'll see them more often in the future. This one was quite simple. It was just a downtrend line that broke into resistance. Very clean, very simple. And you can typically see it from far away. Okay, so we come up. Now, we typically don't want to use the impulse move for our drawings, right? We want, when we're doing formations or trend lines or any of that nature, we typically want to use the consolidation. So, we had a high here, we had a low here, we start to consolidate. So we'll take this low, right? And we're going to connect it. We're not going to be, the thing about trend lines and all that is that people are very I think they use them by choice. They see what they want to see. And what you need to do is you need to take the consolidation and you need to connect it to the next line. And that is the actual trend line. This is the next line, okay? Right in there. So you come up, you come down, boom, there's your trend line. And we break down below it, we have a deviation there. Now, if you played something like that, obviously you would get stopped out. But if you, like I said, if you watch my previous video on formations, you know not to short the second test or something. We're looking for the fourth test, third or fourth at the least. So we have the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, there's the fourth. That's the key, is the fourth. So we get a break of the downtrend line, right? Now, you could short immediately, but typically people get trapped here, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. These downtrend lines almost always break, rally, and then they go back down. So when this had started to break, I drew it like that we were coming down to this support level right in here. Okay, we'll get into that more. And that's basically what we did. We broke the downtrend line, we came back up, retested resistance, breakdown. Okay, why was I targeting this support level? Fairly easy. We have liquidity below all these levels, and that's what we want to target on Bitcoin. There was a brief moment in time in the past month or so where liquidity seemed to not matter as much, and we were just basically bouncing off of support every time during the bull trend, like that super strong up move. But it seems once again we're starting to dig at liquidity levels more and more, which is good because that's really my style of trading, to be honest, or sort of what I grew up on and what I know best. Okay, so we have liquidity here, we have liquidity here, all this consolidation, right? So all this consolidation, people have stops below it. So someone has a stop below here, someone has a stop below here, someone has a stop below here. Typically, so once you get a breakdown and you realize that resistance is here and we're probably not going much further, you have a very optimal risk-reward scenario. Okay, so say you played the break. Let's not even play it perfect. Say you played the break. You would have stop. This is another one of those little secret things I talk about. I never put my stop directly above the high because you're probably going to get slipped a little bit. I usually just put it like 2 points below the high because that way, I won't get slipped in the liquidity zone with everyone else who has their stops right in here. I just have my stop here. I know if it goes there, I'm invalidated anyway. It shouldn't go past the level that I'm interested in. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter where I'm shorting or where I'm longing. I don't feel like the stop loss is made to be this give me a second chance. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, okay? So I don't need to, put my stop in some crazy place. If I think the resistance is going to be here and it should reject here, I want to keep my stop as tight as I can and just where I believe I'm invalidated. All right, so came down, took all the liquidity, and we were targeting this 30-minute level here of basically untested support for, this area of, this range, basically. We started ranging in here. We came down, we put in this support level, and it never came back down and tested it in here. Okay, see? So we break up, strong up move, no retest of the support, no retest of the support. So first time you're going to test a support or resistance level, it's most likely to hold, okay? So we come down for the first test of the support, it holds, got long right in here off of this level. I took the equilibrium of this sort of 30-minute block here, right? 1835, and then I subtracted a little more, small alpha here, I guess. I subtracted about 20 points for extra volatility that comes with these derivative exchanges. And if you'll see my entries on CT, my entry for this long, after I took this short, closed it. Actually, I closed that short prematurely, by the way. I closed that short in here. After I saw this bounce, I closed the short all in here. So weak hands by me right there, but hey, what can you do? Just something I'm trying to continue to improve on. I did catch my long here though, and like I said, I threw about, so subtract 20 for the extra derivative, people going crazy with leverage, and I got in about 18,514, I believe. You can check CT, it's all on there. Okay, so let's talk what's next. Let me take a sip of water here. All right, so what's next? Well, when we start breaking this down, see that we bounced off support here, we have resistance here, we have an inefficiency here, okay? So you remember we talked about inefficiency up, inefficiency down, inefficiency up, inefficiency down. Are we going to fill this back? We may just fill it. Looks like we're flipping level right here, okay? So we had the down move, came up, put in an initial resistance, came back down, a little deviation here, came back down, hit support, back above the resistance. I would say that this probably bounces off of here and goes towards 19.35, or if it breaks back down below, then we may test the market structure level, which would be, let's see, we had a low, we had a high, we had a low, we had a high, and this is, if you're new at all, this is how you identify your market structure, whether you're, you're sort of in bullish territory or bearish territory. You want to see a break of the lower lows and lower highs. So let's identify them. We have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Okay, so this is our market structure level right here. Okay, write that out. MS, market structure. So came up, get rejected by the market structure level. We mess around with it for a bit, eventually rally off. So if we do break back down, we can see a lot of consolidation in here. This would probably be a good area that we'd want to see hold and potentially give this another shot. I don't think I'm personally jumping back into anything. I think I'm just going to let my long from down here ride right to this level right in here. We can see what caused this high velocity move, and that's where we want to target, 19,350. Okay, moving forward, what are we looking for on BTC? I think there's two fairly simple trades. I think the one to the downside is easier. I think the one to the top side, you might get some type of euphoric action going on again like this, which is gets pretty dangerous. But I would say we want to look for a flip of this area right here. Okay, so we got resistance, 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 resistance. If that flips, we would have to think that any sellers from this area, okay, sellers, 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 sellers. If you break above that, what do those sellers want to do? Those sellers want to get out at break even. Okay, so they're waiting for any chance of price to come back down to close their position. And what happens when they close their position? Well, when they close their position, they have to buy. And when you buy, price goes up. Okay, so I'm thinking that a break of 19.5, and we could be pushing towards all-time highs. Watch for, if you really want to see in depth what I would be looking for, I would say you would want to see a break of the level. You want to see the retest, and we've talked about this. At that point, if you want the optimal risk reward, you can play the retest, okay, and wherever you're targeting. And if you want, more confirmation, but you're going to get a worse risk reward, you can let the resistance break, put in some type of a high, right? Retest, and once it goes back above this high, you pretty much know that it should be going. Okay, so you're going to get a worse risk reward, but you're going to have more confirmation about the trade. Okay. So let's see. And to the downside on BTC, obvious. I mean, if this level flips to resistance, then again, all the people who bought in here are going to look to get out. And I think, this is a pretty obvious support area right here. So I would keep an eye. If we come down, I don't know if it breaks on the next shot, but let's say, we come up, we get a weaker bounce, right? And we start doing bearish market structure. So we come down, and then we start, basically consolidating in a bearish market structure, our lower highs, lower lows, and we start pressing against this area. We break through that area, then we're watching for the pullback. On the pullback, we're in, and I think we're going lower at that point. Yeah, if we break down below here, I would expect that we're headed towards about 17.2-ish, somewhere right around there. Yeah, 17.2. That would be my target for a breakdown below there. So, you know, and these are setups, right? Okay, so, you know, for anyone who might be thinking, oh, so up or down, huh? No, these are actionable setups for you to understand, you know, and what to look for. You know, no one's a magician and can tell you, oh yeah, it's definitely going up or it's definitely going down. But what you can do is you can have plans ahead of time and be ready to act wherever the move goes, rather than, you know, being a spurg at the time and saying, oh, it's pumping, it's dumping, and then you just market short or market long at some random level, and you end up, you know, taking a bunch of loss for no reason because you don't have any plan set up. You don't know where your stop is. You don't know where your target is. Got to have plans set out ahead of time. Okay, so that's the point of these videos, basically, is to try to give you guys plans and see where you're going. All right, 1 second. Let's look at ETH quickly. ETH was really, yeah, I think I had this EMA 20 up, I believe it was. It was riding it well on the 5. I had a few scalps off this EMA 20 here. You could see every time it tapped it, it pumped off. It was pretty clean. It's testing it again here. You know, this many tests, I don't think I'm, you know, going to hop aboard anymore, right? But when you get this shift, right, you get the shift in market structure once again. We could see MS level here. So we had the low, we had the high, we had the lower low. We break above market structure, okay, and we're holding. See how we're holding here above market structure? That's when you could use one of these moving averages. I believe, like I said, this is the EMA 20, and you could see right when we tap into it, boom, we're up because now we're in a bullish trend. Even though it's on a, you know, we're on low time frame, right? But price is, you know, price action is occurring on all time frames. Just because I say we're bullish, right? I mean we're bullish right here on this 5-minute low time frame. And obviously if you went to a macro view where you're talking, you know, daily or whatnot, obviously we're bullish as well. But in the overall scenario of things, if you were looking at, like, say, you know, a higher time frame, until we had broke up here, you might say, you know, this price action was downwards, bearish, of course. Okay, so back to ETH. Let's clear these out for a second. Let's clear our drawings for a second. Actually, no, we're going to keep our drawings. I know it's nice to start fresh, right? I talked about that on Twitter. It's nice to start fresh, but at the same time, you know, these videos can only be so long. I don't mind doing them, and I don't mind how long they are personally, but I feel like a lot of people don't have, you know, 40 minutes or an hour to cover this stuff, so I try to keep them moving. All right, again, so, you know, ETH is fairly similar, right? It actually played a little cleaner recently, in my opinion, and we'll take a look. So we have resistance here. We have support here. We didn't fully come down. Shows how, to me, this says, like, you know, the market is still, even though the price we're at, the market is still fairly bullish. People are really looking to buy dips and looking to get in on just, you know, very small areas of liquidity right here. So all the orders were resting right here, and that's all we got. I was personally waiting at around 553. I was already getting in on Bitcoin, so I didn't necessarily want to go double position size when I saw what type of downtrend we were in. I wasn't sure whether we were going to break down or what the situation was. So be it. Anyway, let's see here. We got resistance. We don't need this line at the moment because we just ran liquidity down here and bounced. Try to keep your charts clean, right? Why do we need all these extra lines? We don't need them. Okay, we have our market structure level here. And obviously we had our resistance level here. We can see we came down. This first little wick here we broke through. Tried to hold it on this candle right here. Couldn't hold it, and then just clean resistance all the way across. Resistance, resistance, resistance. This is the type of stuff you want to look for, guys. Make sure it looks clean, all right? We flipped that. Look at that easy support. I didn't catch this. I think I was sleeping or something, but look at this retest. I mean, you don't get any better than that. It comes up, it pumps through. You get a perfect retest wick right there, right into the old swing high resistance, right? So we got the high, we run the high, that's our resistance level. You get this perfect wick retest here, boom, right into the resistance level, okay? We retest it again, we break down through it. Now I think that, you know, the first test of this level again, this is where things get a little bit shaky. I do think that this resistance will hold at some point, potentially run this liquidity area right here, which we already did, it seems. A little tiny wick above it. But these scenarios are always weird because you had tested the supply so much previously that when you break down below, it could just be a short-term deviation. We might pop back above and go. But yeah, this isn't an area where I would probably short or long it. I think I'm just going to stay away from ETH currently until it gets a clearer picture. I would like probably a retest of the market structure level. We did burn through pretty quickly here. Let's take a look. So yeah, we broke down, put in this low, put in this high, low, break market structure. This is the consolidation here that led to the break. So I would say, you know, we can see the strong response here, right? I wouldn't be against longing a retest of this area with your stop below here. I think that is a potential opportunity, something like this. And obviously our target would be probably at that point we would expect to fill this void fairly completely, and we would see right in here. So we have, yeah, check that out. Resistance supports this whole area, breaks down, resistance, up, boom. And at the same time, we can see what caused this high velocity breakdown. This price area right here is what caused this big move down. And that's what we want. We want to long or short areas where we're seeing a big move come off of it, because that means there were buyers or there were sellers there. So if we were looking to lock in a long position, we would lock in our long where the sellers were before, because if they sold before, they might sell again. That's where we want to lock in. Okay. So let's see. Anything else for ETH? No, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not hugely interested in ETH at the moment. Yeah, I think while ETH has played cleaner previously, right now, to me, I think Bitcoin is looking like the easier scenario to trade. We went through the scenarios here. The scenarios over here are fairly the same, except just the moves are bigger. And you definitely have to be, you know, somewhat more careful on ETH, because it's like a, I don't know, ETH is like the, you know, the emotional person in the relationship almost when it comes to Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin's usually fairly stable with price, but sometimes you'll see Bitcoin like going up and ETH is just like stubborn and it's not moving for, you know, an hour or two for some reason, or Bitcoin dumps a little bit and ETH goes overboard. You can see it on something like DOT. Just one important thing before we get into DOT, I had to cut this in as well when I rewatched it. If you're long, like say you're long BTC, you're long ETH, you're long DOT, you want to make sure you're not, you know, you don't have too much exposure all in one direction, all right? You could spread that risk out, right? So if you want to be long BTC, you want to be long ETH, you want to be long YFI DOT, just take like 2R, right? Like 2 risks. So say, you know, this is a different video, right? We talked about risk management, but say you have a portfolio of $100,000, you know, $1,000 would be your typical risk, about 1% of your portfolio. So you would want to, you know, at least split that up. Let's say, you know, you would, if you have 4 positions, maybe you're risking 2R, that'd be about $2,000. So, you know, split 500 BTC, 500 ETH, 500 YFI, 500 DOT. Or if you are already positioned in BTC, say you're already fully positioned in BTC 1,000, and that's really all the risk you want. I mean, still, it's good to practice and trade, right? So take the DOT trade, but instead of throwing 1,000 on it, just throw 100 on it. Like, no big deal. But as I've said, you know, trade. Make sure you're practicing. Make sure you're trading. The worst thing you could do is just sit idly by and watch the chart and not do anything about it. Always put something on the line. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's, you know, I don't care if it's $1. Like, put something on the line so you know if your trading is working or not. Okay, that's it. I think that was a good example today. BTC started to dump, and you can see just all your leveraged people like push price right through support. I think this move was like somewhat an anomaly, a deviation down here. Yeah, I guess we'll go through DOT real quick. If we zoom out on DOT, we can see the swing high level here. We came over. Easy test of resistance, right? And all this stuff, you want to look for confluence, right? Look for correlation, look for confluence. So this same swing high level from all this previous price action, right, is the same resistance level as what caused this big breakdown. It's in the same area, okay? So that was the area, and this is the area. So perfect, we got resistance right there. We have support down here. This comes from, I believe, a daily block or something of the sort. Yeah, so we came all the way down. We tested this. We reclaimed this old resistance level right here before the up move. We could see it, resistance, reclaim, comes down, retest right here. You know, zooming out so much that, like on the daily, I don't think it's really helping you it can help you find your levels, right? But it's not necessarily going to help you find these shorter term trades, which is more what I'm about. I prefer doing more short term stuff. Okay, so DOT is pretty simple. Like I said, I think this was sort of an overextension. I would watch to see what price does down here, right? If price comes back down and tests again, I would look for something like a bullish divergence, okay? So say it comes down, it puts in an equal low, okay? Equal low, but we pull up our RSI, right? And it's making a higher low, okay? At that point, we would have a bullish divergence, okay? And we would be able to have confluence with that bullish divergence that, you know, we thought that this was sort of an overextended move, and it pushed through simply due to, you know, derivative exchanges and people being able to play with leverage. I personally think this level should have held. I had this written out, you know, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I didn't want to see price back below here. We could see that support tried to hold, then it became resistance, and then it rallied off the level. Strong response when we broke down, back up, back down, retest the level again. I would look for that bullish divergence. If you get the bullish divergence, potential long opportunity. Stop doesn't need to be too far away. You target the blue. On the upside here, I think if we can reclaim this area, we start to watch the high. If you can reclaim this area, then we're looking at probably these highs right here, right around 6-ish. I mean, if we let's really zoom in for a second. So we want again, like we talked about untested support before, we want untested resistance. Okay, so we want this area right here. Came up, it made this high, it made this resistance, it broke it down, and we never retested it. So I would take the bottom of this, 5.945, and then I would front run just a tiny bit so my order gets filled, 5.92. And you can see right here, I said flip this and TP 5.92. And this stuff isn't rehearsed or anything, it's not made up. I'm just going off the top, and you can see sort of how I do everything. It all just this is how it makes sense to me personally. All right, so I think that's good. We covered BTC, covered ETH, covered DOT. I've been enjoying trading those lately, YFI too, but I think that's good for this video. We're already pushing a good amount of time, so thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day, and yeah, good luck with the trades. Peace out.